Come one, come all. It's time to grow. Welcome to the Dorian Adams Motivation Show. This is where we talk about faith, family, finances, friends, and fitness. Today, I'm blessed to be in the company of two esteemed my brothers, and we're just gonna run it. We're going to address the topic today, or we're gonna have a discussion about how do you address conflict or disagreements with your family members, whether it be in your household, extended family, just people that you love or should love. Let's touch on some points about that, because in my opinion, just to lead up, I'm noticing a lot of situations in my own family. So I'm noticing a lot of dynamics that they exist and they known and spoke of, but then we got some dynamics that won't get spoke of. But everybody know it's like the elephant in the room. Nobody don't say nothing about that, but everybody know that's what's going on. So you know what I mean? I can get off into some, it can get some funkiness going on, but just saying, um, that's what family is. I'm pretty sure y'all can understand that. I guess where I'm going when I say how do you deal with agreements or disagreements is to say that sometimes you can allow stuff to exist, but sometimes you have to put your foot down, or you feel compelled to insert your voice in the situation, or to try to help this person. Or what do you do? What do you do when somebody in your family is doing too much, taking advantage of you or taking you for granted? So I just wanted to do a little bit of window dressing, because I know we can go all over the place with this. Uh, let's do it.
All right. Well, it's good to be here with y'all. This is a very interesting topic to deal with. It's a very packed one, I'll say. But like you said, we can go all over the place with this. So I think we could start with a question directly. How do you deal with conflict with family members? Well, I think first we should acknowledge that basically every family that's ever existed probably had conflict and problems that needed to be worked out. It's almost like any relationship, at least anyone that's worth having. There's going to be problems and speed bumps that have to be dealt with and negotiated. So when we're dealing with families, I mean, because there's the entire family, the entirety, which is everyone, and the dynamic of how everyone exists together in that ecosystem, and then there's the smaller levels of interactions between brother and sister, mother, uncle, and so on and so forth. So
Mhm.
when we talk about how to deal with conflict, we can deal with how people deal with conflict in general, or what a healthy and an unhealthy version would be. You know, when it comes to problems, everyone deals with problems differently, and depending on how healthy the people in the family were raised, or under what sort of moral compass or cultural values were presented to you when you grow up and develop, that sort of determines how you deal with conflict. We've all dealt with people that we can negotiate disagreements with, or discrepancies, people that are
Mhm.
easy to get along with, family members that you can talk about things with and sort of figure out the middle ground. And we've dealt with people that are not so easy to come to a common ground with, people that it almost seems like they don't want to find a solution. They just want to be right, or they just want to prove their point. So first we could say it depends on who you're dealing with, but I guess we can deal with the more
Hmm.
difficult people first, since we're talking about problems and not problems. Um, I think when you're dealing with a very strong-minded person, or I guess that would be weak-minded, someone that's change, we have to be more understanding than them. We have to give them the floor to speak more and express themselves, because perhaps they feel like people don't understand them very well, which could just be because they're not very good at articulating themselves. Either way, you have to allow them to speak. So when it comes to dealing with people like that, because I have a lot, you have to know how to listen. You have to know how to listen, as we've all heard, not to respond, but listen to truly understand. And if you've ever
Hmm.
actually done that, you realize that it's actually easy to deal with people like that if you have your intentions straight. And what you do is you try and repeat back to them, or try and explain back to them what they said to you to their own satisfaction, which would prove that you actually understand them. And then at that point, you can negotiate on what exactly a solution would be to whatever the problem is. Now, this sounds very scientific, and it's like that's not actually how any interaction goes. It goes from zero to fighting. It's like, well, not really. It depends on how you look at it. It depends on where your
Hmm.
mind is. I mean, people recognize when someone's listening. People recognize when someone is looking them in the eyes and being honest, and they're not speaking in a certain way. And it probably wouldn't make sense if you've never actually tried it, but I have. So we just
Hmm.
have to be a bit more aware of our emotions and ourselves when we're dealing with people like that. So when we talk about how to deal with the conflict in the family, it basically boils down to being able to listen, your ability to understand, people, and people are very complicated. Even if it is your family, you can grow up with them your whole life. People change um, at various times throughout their development, just like we do. And I don't know why we act like that's not the case. It's like people aren't the same as they are 5 and 10 years later. Some people are the same, which is bad, but for the most part, people change. So when it comes to problem solving and trying to come to resolutions, it's as simple as listening and negotiating. Now, negotiating is easier said than done, because you guys are both trying to come to a conclusion that suits you specifically in a beneficial manner. And depending on how wide the gap is between both of you guys' personal desires, it can be very hard to come to a consensus on that conclusion. So it's just it depends. I suppose it depends on how much you care, how much you love them. Who's going to who's going to give a little more of their string first? I mean, for instance, I have a sister that's, and I'm not going to get too deep into that right now, but I have a sister that's dealing with a family member, and it's uh it's basically like an on and off thing of who cares more, or the other person doesn't care. And I've come to the conclusion that one or both of the parties are either unwilling to listen and understand, or are incapable of listening and understanding. And that's the reason for
Hmm.
the status of their relationship right now. And I come from for what it's worth, I come from a black household, a single mother household, where communication isn't the primary skill, and you know, genuine healthy masculinity isn't exactly as prevalent in our family as it should be. So you can kind of see the results of that. And I say that because part of masculinity is, as far as I understand, is being able to reason and use logic to figure things out, as opposed to being emotional and I wouldn't say irrational, but we can just leave it at emotional. So um, I guess, as I said before, dealing with problems is as simple as being able to listen and understand. And I'll finish by saying this. This is a little piece from my notes. interpersonal skills.
Mm-hmm.
Interpersonal skills are fundamentally people skills, which are characterized by your ability to read and interpret social signals accurately in order to form effective responses. So you can, kind of bounce off of any of that if you want. But that's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
something to me, something where I'm at. So
Yeah, that I just grew. I just grew.
you know, more man, your muscles too
So
big.
nah, ain't no way, bro. Hold on. Okay, let me see my boy coming in. So yo, I don't know if you are muted or not muted, but what's going on? Welcome to the call, brother. Um, I grew off of that. I grew. You know, it was some of it was a recap on stuff that I know, and some of the skills and responses that I incorporate in dealing with people or family members. Um, you know, some of it was brand new. You know, just angle wise, and you know what I mean. Give me a peek into some of the other processes that you would use. And that's what I'm talking about with this call. I want to know how other people deal with stuff, man. Because you know, case in point, I got a family member, well, a couple of family members. I mean, we some hogs, man. You know what I mean? And so when I approach someone or I put my voice into the conversation, it's almost like that's damn near final, you know. And so guess what? If I'm sitting up there with Cuz and he got something to say or he got his opinion of whatever it is, you know, it's like who's gonna who who gonna win almost, you know what I mean? And so I guess it's just like trying to reach people, I guess, like we talked about before, where they at in a sense. Uh, that would be one of the tools that I would use to problem solve or get to a resolution. And then at the same time, picking my battles to say, do I need to win this one? Is this that one? Is this the hill I want to die on over being right or wrong in this equation or this situation? You know, and typically what happens is that I'm more of a because I'm not going. That's not a situation I want to be confrontational in because I know where that's going because of who I may be talking to, and we just talking about like you said something uh, raw. It's like it's right there in the moment, you know, and you gotta respond to whatever it is. This is the type of situation I'm talking about. So I know in that situation, I tend to kind of deflect and take a step back because one thing I notice about some most confrontations is that I have to be the catalyst a lot of times. I have to be the one that pushes to that next level, especially when you're dealing with family, because a lot of times you're dealing with family, you already know how they move. So if I say the right thing, I know what's gonna happen. Right? So if I take that voice out of the situation, then I basically disarm the conflict. Now I ain't saying that the conflict ain't still available, but it's giving it a chance to breathe, you know. And so it's just I guess it's just really key in understanding that person too, like you spoke to. You alluded to that earlier, um, and empathizing with them, not biting. You know what I mean? Don't buy them wolf tickets because they look good, you know, and you know you can meet the challenge. And that's this is just talking about straight up finna go at it. Um, but even still, we got other situations with family members. Um, it's still a who's who, and it's still a tug of war on opinion, on position. You know, who's right, who's wrong. Shoot, you can have disagreements about how somebody raising their kids in their household. You know, you raise yours a certain way and you got an opinion of it and you speak on it. And now y'all going back and forth about it. So I just try to we want to have that discussion because so many different things that could come up. And I think it's healthy that we at least have a conversation that looks at it because we all might not be experiencing the same thing. Like y'all might not have about to be going at each other's throat in your household or in your family. You know, it just may be like once again how somebody raising their kids. Well, you why you letting her wear that? You see what I'm saying? And it's like, what? What you mean? Why I'm letting her wear that? Why you let your kids smoke weed? You know what I mean? So you got it can go round and round. So just putting a voice to that conversation to say, hey, it ain't all cut and dry. You know, sometimes we got conflicts or disagreements that may be happening that you don't say nothing about. Like I said before, right?
Okay.
Oh,
That's
let me see it, Benny. Well, he looked like he got ready, he ready to let off a shot over there.
I'm just listening right now. You know what I mean? I'm a chime in. I'm just,
Okay.
getting the feel of it.
Hey, sorry about that.
here's what I find interesting about that. So I think what you're saying now it sparks something in me. This is why it's important to be aware of our intentions before. And this is something I was just writing about. This is something that I was just writing about last night for like 2 hours. So this
Mm-hmm.
is easy. This is why it's important for us to be aware of our intentions before we engage in an interaction, especially one with a family member. I mean, oftentimes they're miraculous, not miraculous, but they happen on their own accord. You don't premeditate talking to your family member. So I don't want to make it seem like that, but generally speaking, it's important to make sure that your intentions, and this is something we spoke about like 4 calls ago. It's important to be aware of what your intentions are, where your heart is at before you start having these conversations. Because if you if if you can acknowledge that most of the time when you get into conversations with even specific family members, it always cascades into an argument, and the nature of the argument is who is right and who can come out on top. Those intentions are not only impure, but they're non-beneficial to neither parties. Your intention should be to grow. Like even with this conversation, my intention, and I hope all of ours are to leave this conversation maybe knowing a little more than we did before. And if not, at least not being in the negative. So when you speak with your family members, especially the ones that you know are a little more sensitive when it comes to anything, you have to make sure that your intentions are I'm trying to learn. And not even to the intention don't even have to be to help the other person. It's just to make sure that you're coming with honest excuse me, with honesty and honest intentions, and that you're being genuine. Because at the end of the day, you have to realize that you cannot control other people's actions and you can't control their behavior. In fact, any instance or example of a person or a government or a system trying to control people's behaviors not only resulted in something like a catastrophe, but it just didn't work. It just So if you genuinely disagree with, let's say, the way that someone's raising their children or the way that someone's doing anything that, for whatever reason, is affecting you personally, the best way to have a change or a positive affect on them or on the situation is to lead by example. So the disposition that I take when it comes to those things, because I have a large family, is I try and be what it is that I think should change inside of them. So when it comes to, because that's a very easy one to bounce off of, is the way that someone's raising their children isn't to tell them, with your finger wagging that they're wrong and that for whatever reason that shouldn't be taking place. Rather, you should, or one should, whoever it is, should explain what the beneficial alternative would be and give some examples as to why it would make sense without sounding offensive or sounding like you think you know better. And it's difficult to do that the right way if deep inside of you do think that you know better and you do think that you're right, which is reasonable because when you're a man and you stand on something, that's what's inside of you. But when the change that you want is more powerful than that, you learn to adapt and to take on the position of well, let me try and explain this differently because at the end of the day, there are two outcomes here, which is I'm either going to have the effect I want to and they're going to change, or they're not going to change and it's not going to work and things will escalate quickly into an argument. So it's like, well, I don't want that. So how do I get the other one? Well, it's up to
Hmm.
them. So the best position would be to, and this isn't just with that situation specifically, it's with anything. You have to, I guess this boils down to being good at articulating your points honestly and genuinely. I mean, uh,
Well,
absent of emotion, because emotions like to take over us a lot and like fuel and be the battery in the way that we speak. It's difficult not to allow your emotions to, but if you can get control of that and be emotionless, so to speak, which really isn't good, but it tends to be beneficial in this world, things tend to work out a little better. And this is just in my opinion.
so
I'm
I got a question for you.
uh-huh.
What do you do? Uh, you got hypothetically, you got a family member that's
One
alcoholic,
second.
uh, on drugs, and they raising kids. You know what I mean? Their kids get to see that, right? And you, with pure intention, want to approach that to try to find a way to steer that in a more favorable for a more favorable outcome for the minors in the household, or it could be some abuse going on in the household. You know what I mean? It's not like you intervening, but at the same time, you got love for your family. You don't want to see, you don't want the kids that may be involved being affected by it negatively or no more. It done got out of hand or whatever it is, and you have a heart to reach out and say, hey, guess what? You know, I mean, how do you voice that? You know, because that's a conflict and a disagreement in itself, because you know there's some adverse effects going to come out of that situation, whether it be drugs, alcohol, whether it be abuse. You know that the handwriting been on the wall with any situation. So who is the person that's going to intervene? Is it child protective services? Is it the police? Or is it the family member that has a heart for it and that's willing to stand up and at least say something?
This is a very good example because I actually have a similar manifestation of that in my own family. Well, an exact manifestation of that in my own family. And I guess this is where I'm at with that. And I'll say again, I'm no expert on anything. I'm only 23 years old, but this is kind of where I'm at that point. So we could start by laying out the three potential outcomes, which is only three of them. One is protective child protective services does come in, they intervene and they do things their way of doing things, which we know more than anyone doesn't always turn out the best way. Two is the person that's acknowledged it attempts to use some sort of tyrannical force of taking control of the situation and attempting to change it because we know best,
Right.
which is
Gotcha.
also the problems. And then the third option is the one that I'm leaning on, which okay, the problem is partly with the adult, but more so with the effect that the adult is having on the children. So the children are the topic of the discussion. what I do or what I try to do, I'm very busy. I have a lot of nephews and nieces at this point. I don't have any children of my own, but I've acknowledged that if you want them to have an outlet of a positive influence, or you know, sort of another example of what things could be like, because you're not the direct caretaker, is to any opportunity that that person has to interact with the kids, to pick them up, to take them places, and to do your best to have your own personal positive effect on them, to educate them, to instill in them your own wisdom. That way, when they go back into that terrible position that they're living under, they have something to hold on to. They have something to think about, something to remember as they grow and develop, and maybe it'll spark something, as time moves forward, that'll alter their perspective of their own situation. And that's it's kind of like the same thing I said before, is if you can't take control of the situation entirely, the least you can do is attempt to have a positive effect on them, or to
Hmm.
instill in them some values that they can hold on to, even if they don't mean very much to them in the moment. I mean, like I said, we can't we can't control what other people do and their behaviors. It just doesn't work. So the best we can do is have an effect on them. And I mean,
Right.
I can extrapolate on that, on how the government and et cetera, and how having effect on someone versus controlling them works a hell of a
Mm.
lot better. So I think picking them up for that specific example, interacting with them, being a positive role model, and doing your best to instill in them ideas and alternative perspectives than those that they already hold,
Hmm.
um, can provide them with something that's even more valuable than stripping them away from whoever that drug addict parent may be, because there's also a lot to learn from difficult situations. So I don't know. I mean, things like that are very complex and ambiguous. So there's like a trillion ways to look at it, but there's really only one. So
Well,
that's
no,
that.
one of the huge part that I got out of that from you was that lack of confrontation don't mean you're not being proactive. So essentially, you used a workaround to still affect the situation, knowing that it's going to be you're going to get a faster and more impactful result out of that way that you said than to confront the parent or the antagonist in the situation, right? Because they may have a onion to peel the layers off of that took years to build, before you can break peel all of that layer of that onion back. There's going to be a lot more damage getting done to that kid if you're not paying attention to them.
Right.
So yeah, nah, I
Mm.
feel it. I feel it.
And I don't mean
Good
to
stuff.
skip over that, perhaps confronting the person directly is a potential beneficial option as well, but that's not exactly that isn't where I wanted to take that response. But yeah,
No,
that's
that was dope because that's, man. Hey, guess what? If you wouldn't have said it, how you know we wouldn't have heard it? How you know we didn't know that?
Real talk.
That's a tool, bro. You just gave me a tool to rock with. You
That was
know?
definitely a jewel.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And when we, like I say, we just chopping it up, extrapolating. You know what I mean? Um, I mean, I can probably fathom like a myriad of situations, man, where um, I might have not been 100% comfortable or um, in agreement with decisions that family members have made, people that's close to me have made. But at some point in time, I might have been too not strong with my voice, or not, you know what I mean? Maybe
Passive.
maybe I just say what?
Passive.
Might have been, yeah, like that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? In certain situations to whereas I just didn't say nothing, kind of like in some situations you might say turned a blind eye to it because it wasn't my problem,
Yeah,
right? Or what have you. So yeah, definitely would have been a situation that I could have affected or approached and said something, had a voice in, but I didn't, you know, might have watched something happen that I shouldn't have let go.
yeah,
That type of thing. So that's why I say, how do you deal with conflict or disagreement in your family? You know, because it ain't just that, I can sit here and talk about this type of stuff now. Um, is that I can acknowledge that it might have been times in the past when I couldn't talk about it. I might be able to say something now though, got my grown man on a little bit, but at the same time I want to be careful not to speak uh because I do have a voice that I should use it recklessly, that I can be all in people's business just every time something happened or whatever it is, every situation going on, I gotta have something to say. So what I'm trying to do is get a bearing on where my voice should come from and when I should apply it.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because
Something
just
like the
like
brother
that,
say,
oh, go ahead, bro.
like the brother say, sometimes you got to be that example. You feel me? It's like if you want to be a friend to somebody first. You know what I mean? Like do to your neighbor as you want to be done to you. So it'd be like, it just naturally, like, I just noticed, for me, being locked up all of me, I try to avoid conflict, bro, because I know what's in me, bro, and I don't want that beast to come out of me. So I'll be the first one to just like throw my hands up. You feel me? But it's like, especially when you're dealing with family, and as you get older, you can't just like sweep stuff up under the rug. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, man, you say, man, you get into it today or whatever, we exchange words or whatever, you know what I mean? Bam. And it's like, some people, so however they was raised or whatever, so used to, well, okay, we ain't talking right now. We'd be talking back in 4, 5 days. But it's like you can't do that with everybody. Like if you wrong me, you feel me, you totally out of pocket, you feel me? Like I feel like you deserve I deserve apology. You feel me? So, in order for us to get back on good terms, like you got to come to me and I'm gonna respect you even more. I'm gonna apologize back to you, but it's like where you just came at me out of pocket, you feel me? Because I'm not, as a grown man, I'm not gonna treat you like that. I might, for whatever reason, if I came at you out of pot, that's gonna like bother my soul. You feel me? So until I can
Mm-hmm.
come to you and be like, bro, let me holler at you, man. About the other day, man, on some, some real stuff, bro. I apologize. I was out of pocket, man. You feel me? Like, you know what I mean? I just, but if you don't, if people, a lot of, especially dealing with in the black community, a lot of us, you know what I mean? Like we didn't talk about that, especially as young black men growing up in these ghettos, the tools we was given it was the tools to survive. So we didn't know nothing about manhood. Manhood was, how many babies we can have, you feel me? I'm come up, from the Bay Area, you feel me, riding on gold, once doing this gold teeth in our mouth, you feel me? And flossing and high side. But that, yeah, I had to sit down for 23 years to realize, man, that wasn't real manhood. But that I got that game by, experience through my studies. You feel me? And but it's like that's why I say, everybody ain't on your level. You feel me? So some you got to meet people where they at. So
Yeah, like what, and I appreciate that too, though, because that
yeah,
was that was a refresher too. Um, but it's like John said too, though, man. One of the things, like, I'm just gonna say it my
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the things he said in essence was that we have to learn to be the gift in the situation, because um you can't move like you would have moved as a kid. You cannot acknowledge the growth that you have and not use it. So when
Yeah,
these situations happen, you got to say, why is this situation happening in my presence?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And it's like that give you the green light to present the gift that you have. So I get it. The question was, how do you deal with conflict or disagreements in your family, in the household, or what have you?
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, I need to be constantly working on my damn self, like for
Yeah.
real. Like it's an
Yeah.
emergency. You know what I mean? It's like 911 that
Yeah.
I'm working on myself because guess what? What I realize over time is that these situations are going to continue to happen around me. Man, there's situations in my life right now where it seems like the building is burning down. But guess what? Dorian been working on his damn self. Dorian been
Yeah.
working on figuring out who the hell I am
Yeah.
to the point where I can see this stuff going on, and I can see that people who haven't worked on it, so I can see them around me, and I can see how they unraveling at the seams
Yeah.
because they have no foundation, not
Yeah.
that next level of foundation.
Yeah.
So when I go back to what John said, like I said, present you enter the situation as a gift. All that stuff that he said just spoke to the gift that you got to be, because when you impact the situation, it's going to be a gift to the situation instead of a detriment or an
Yeah.
explosion happening, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it that I get out of everything that y'all saying,
Yeah.
and it's just like, man, that's so profound. If we can find that, it's a lot of situations that may be going on from now moving forward that it just turned out differently, especially if it's going on around you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sometimes you got to be that voice of reason.
Right, right. Because how you move. Remember, I was saying a little bit earlier about I will default a lot of times, I'll sidestep in a way, right? But sometimes when I do that, it sets me up to, like John said, move with a pure intention.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying? Because if I do me and I just run up on the situation, then it's gonna be an explosion.
Yeah.
Straight up. It ain't no doubt about that. That explosion is available 24/7. And
We
we
don't.
got similar paths, so we done deal with some of the same stuff. I know how to go from 1 to 100,
Yeah. But you know, you a
but that
gentle
ain't how I
giant.
need to move. So go ahead, bro. Sorry.
I said, I want to continue to see that gentle giant. I don't. They don't. I don't. We didn't seen enough of that.
No facts.
Something I could bounce off of exactly what you were just saying is because I read a lot. There's this author named Dostoevsky, Fyodor Dostoevsky, and there was something that he said that
Man, I
resonated.
need to write these damn book titles and authors down, man. Here you go again. Who is this person?
He's a
Man, I
he's a,
read 15,000 books.
I mean, somebody got to do it, right?
Come
I
on,
got a
bro.
whole. I got a whole library sitting right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's
Sure.
go.
But
So what you got, Jay?
Fyodor Dostoevsky, he's a Russian author. He said something that resonated very deeply with me, and it's that we're not only responsible for ourselves, but we're responsible for all of the people around us. And when I think about that, I think about the fact that people like to have as much control over their lives and their circumstances as possible because it allows you to predict outcomes of your life a lot more often than usual.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the nature of life, which is that everything is unpredictable, that's something that a lot of people want. So when you think about it, adopting a responsibility for yourself and everything that happens to you, it makes sense to us because we can we can act aptly to the situations that happen to us as a consequence of how we may have behaved to cause a certain reaction, and you can learn from it, adapt, and change things accordingly. That's taking responsibility for ourselves. We most of us understand that, and when it comes to taking responsibility for those around you, it essentially boils down to understanding how the way that you've treated people affects them, and as a consequence, how they end up treating you, moving forward. So when we speak about going into things with engaging in interactions and conversations with the right intentions and being that voice of reason, um, if on top of making sure that your intentions are in the right place, your intentions also hold within them the fact that you are going to be responsible for whatever happens as a result of this engagement. That's like more motivation to make sure that you're being honest and genuine when you do things, because and you have to really believe it when you tell yourself this is I'm responsible for myself and those around me. Not in a narcissistic way, like I'm responsible for no, but you're responsible for the way that you treat people, because as a result, you have to deal with the way that they in turn look at you um moving forward. So I don't know if I explained that quite exactly. Maybe I need to think about that a little more, but it just resonated with me. This one's a little new, but you're responsible for everything as much as you can be humanly responsible for. It just makes sense to me. So,
I feel it. Let me throw a curve at you. Uh I'm pretty sure y'all probably can relate to when you was a kid at the family dinners and everything, everybody getting together, holidays or whatever, and they sitting down to eat. The kids used to say where the kids sit at.
The kids sat at a different table.
They sit
mm,
at the kid table, right?
Kids said, yeah,
All right. So here's the thing. I'm just setting the stage, setting
yeah.
the scenario. When do the kid start sitting at the grown folks table?
oh man,
Hmm. Hmm.
are you asking when do the kids begin to sit at the grown folks table, or
Yeah. When
that
do they begin to? Right, right. Because you were sitting at the kid table
Yeah,
as a kid.
yeah.
What's y'all thoughts on that? What's the qualifier or the what happens to you know what I mean for that transition to take place?
You grow up, right?
Grow up.
Or
God, what you
when
say?
you're on your parents, so you can sit at the adult table, I guess.
Right, right. I mean,
well,
we go ahead.
I mean, first we can lay out why it is that the children and the adults were separated in the first place. The conversations that take place at the dinner table amongst adults are dealing with
Mm-hmm.
things more on the serious, explicit, and complicated side, to say the least. And the children talk about children things. They talk about toys, desires, imagination, and basically nonsense, to put it fundamentally. So,
Right.
when do they begin to sit at the adult table? Is once the adults feel that they have matured enough to understand generally the things that the adults talk about, that isn't going to result in them being more confused than
Mm-hmm.
educated. I mean,
Nah, you right. You
yeah,
right. So
I like
hey,
Oh,
before I before I end, like I like to lay the playing field first.
yeah.
yeah. But
I
watch
want,
this. In the meantime, the kid. Okay, you got the kids. Then you got the teenagers. Right, y'all. If did y'all with me on this? So now the kids used to be over on in my household. A lot of
oh,
how the kids gonna be at on a piece of newspaper or something over there on the floor if we didn't have enough tables, right? They're gonna be somewhere, they're gonna get set their space set up. The teenagers get to go like in the living room or something because they're a little bit older. They ain't gonna be spilling stuff all over the place and food and everything like that. Or they might be outside or they might be in the garage. The grown folks table itself though had the grown folks. But that's neither here nor we're gonna skip past that. The thing is, my opinion of a kid being eligible to sit at the grown folks table, it ain't. it ain't a handoff. The grown folks, I don't feel like the grown folks never really volunteer you to go to that grown folks table.
Oh,
You ended up emancipating yourself in your
yeah.
actions at home, doing stuff that you was doing at school. You know what I mean? And that is literally like a badge of honor for you to emancipate to that grown folks table because they see you not the kid no more.
Yeah.
Mm.
You've shown something. There ain't no invitation. You
I
know
want.
what I
I want.
mean?
Let me. I want to say something, man. When when you first introduced me to John or whatever, you feel me? You were speaking good things about brother how sharp bruh is. But I want to give you. I want to salute you, bro. Like to be 23 years old, bro. I don't know if you familiar. When you remind me of Fred Hampton, bro, from the Panthers, bro. Like you feel me? Like bro, you sharp, bro. 23 spitting like you spit, bro. Like you feel me? So, bro, stay on that path, bro.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I
he know I'll give him them props too. Yeah. But so did y'all agree with the idea of that, like the emancipation of,
Yeah.
you know, and that's I mean, I guess to say, I mean, we're going a little bit sidebar from the original discussion topic, but I still feel like
It,
it's healthy to acknowledge stuff like that though, man, that
yeah.
some points of emancipation happen uh, because you done had enough of being at the kids' table.
Yeah.
So you now like we doing we involve ourselves in
Yeah.
discussions about emancipating, about grown folks' ideas, and about
Yeah.
a mature frame of mind. Where we ain't gonna be relegated to the kids'
Yeah.
table. Can't nobody tell you to sit at the kids' table.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
done with that, and I'm not gonna accept that at no other point in my life. So when I expand that idea about not sitting at the kid table, I look at the opportunities around me. I
Yeah.
look at the stuff that's available for me, the opportunities that say, guess
Yeah.
what? This opportunity is only available if you really to fucking take it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's what these opportunities, that's what the grown folks table is. So don't just think it's in your household, it's in your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How long is am I going to allow myself to be shackled and relegated to the
Yeah.
kids' table in my life?
Yeah.
Because see, now we're looking at the bigger picture of how society will hoist roles on you. They will tell you this is what your reality should be. But as long as you sit at the kids' table, you just listen to it and keep it moving,
Yeah.
right? You function within that framework because that's what you was told, and you pretty much doing what you told because you a
Yeah.
kid. But when you emancipate your thought process,
Yeah.
it's no longer the kids table for you. Anytime somebody tell you this is what you should be doing, you question that shit. Hold on,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
Hold on, bro. How the hell you get a mansion with 5 cars and I got to have this little rinky dink
Yeah.
1 bedroom apartment? How you get that? Now I'm asking questions.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Because you ain't, I recognize the fact that you just a man and I'm the man.
Yeah.
You got a wife and kids, or you got a family and I got a family, right? We
Yeah.
striving for the same things, but you telling me I can't. You telling me this door is closed to
Yeah.
me when you got in it. Nah, now you pulling out the beast. Now I got to fight for my
Yeah. They, they want to leave you deaf, dumb, and blind. You know?
right. And then guess what? That's I gotta keep it real with you because a lot of times we point at ourselves as people of color and we say them and they, the government, the man,
Yeah.
when in all actuality, it's any man.
And anybody
Any any
that's
man, any
opposed.
man gonna want right. Any man gonna want to keep you out if you ain't fighting to get in.
Yeah.
Just like we talked about business at some point in time on one of the calls about how if I see you striving and grinding and hustling, and you trying to get to where I'm at, I'm gonna be quicker to lend you a hand or make sure the door is open for you
Yeah.
than if you wasn't. You come here asking me for something, bro. If I don't see your work, it don't
Yeah.
make sense to me as a businessman, as
Yeah.
a business a potential partner. It don't make sense to me to just hear you say, "Hey, can I get?" That sound like you begging to me.
Yeah.
But if I see you over here snatching interceptions, I see you
Yeah.
saying, "I'm not gonna sit at the kids' table." I know what that look like.
Yeah.
So if I'm already there, guess what? I'm at the grown folks table. You doing you making the move that say you want to be at the grown folks table.
Yeah.
If I got anything to do with it, you're coming.
Yeah.
Close that door on you because guess what? You coming anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it's all about saying, hey, you know what? I'm gonna acknowledge who I am for sure. Right? If I got some work to do, I'm gonna go to work on that shit. I ain't gonna be asking everybody, can you help me? You know, I'm gonna get to work. This brother John, that's what I'm just referencing John,
Yeah.
with all the book reading and everything like that. That man taking interceptions right now.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the acknowledgement that I got for that, bro. Like, guess what? I wouldn't have it no other way.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I try to set myself up for success. It ain't saying I know everything. I'm just growing like hell. You know, because I'm willing to listen. I don't care if you know what I mean. My brother Ben, similar
Yeah.
background as mine. Brother John,
Yeah.
young and up and coming in the game. If you providing
Yeah.
angles, when you get to the grown folks table, we just sit up there listening, bro, because you belong here. It's like, yo, give
Yeah.
me some of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, I ain't trying to
I
hog up the
appreciate it.
airspace. Yeah. But how y'all feeling, man? Y'all
I'm feeling good. God is good. You know?
okay, okay.
I do want to say this though. I can acknowledge. I feel like that's that older wisdom that you just dropped for real because what you just said almost superseded what my answer was. Um, I basically laid out what the tables were in a simple version of the process of transforming to the older one. But what you said was in reality what happens. And I really like how you extrapolated it out in a broader perspective of how it's related to life in general. The child's table and the grown folks table. It's partly something that you prove yourself to be a part of, but I think it's like that's what life is. It's a series of exclusive consecutive groups or tables. It's a series of consecutive tables that are exclusive, and there are never any invitations that are lended out to people. You simply work your hardest, do your best, and you prove to yourself that you are worthy of leveling up, I guess, and you sort of force your way into them to where it's undeniable to them that you belong there. I like that
Mm,
because even dealing specifically with the whole table thing, as I've developed, obviously I'm still pretty young, so I've only been grown for like the last 5 years, really. But I realized that the last 5 years I've been treated by my parents and my elders extremely differently than I was treated in the previous 5 years. And it wasn't because
mm,
they were pulling my arm and sort of hoisting me up. It's because I basically forced myself up and proved my worth. And it was undeniable that I am who I am. So I really like
mm-hmm,
how you just laid that out and in broader life, how that's how it works. There are multiple grown folks tables. There are groaner
mm.
meta grown folk tables that exist. It just depends on how hard you're willing to work on developing and evolving. So I like that. I really do. I like that a lot.
Hey. All right. So I'm gonna just end it with this, bro. I appreciate y'all for being on the call. Check this out. Now that we at the grown folks table, let's eat. We're gonna
Yes,
wrap it up
sir.
with that one. Thank
See
y'all
you
for
tomorrow.
participating. Dorian
See y'all
Adams
tomorrow at the
Motivation
gym.
Show, man. This thing ain't gonna do nothing but grow, man. We're gonna grow
Yes,
with it.
sir.
I'll
Yes,
see y'all on
sir.
the next one.
God bless.
On the next one, stay blessed.
All right, folks.